Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'll just give everyone a few more minutes to join, and then we'll begin it shortly. All right, looks like we have a good group of people with us, so we'll get started so we can maximize the time here. And we will be recording and sharing this on YouTube, so don't worry if you've missed a session. We will post it out and share the links with everyone. So with that, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Aditi Murthy. I'm the VP of Operations and Business Intelligence at PumasAI. I'm thrilled to welcome you to our launch event and even more excited to introduce the fantastic team joining me today. Our presenters and panelists are Vijay Vaturi, the CEO and co-founder of PumasAI, Andreas Nowak, the Vice President of Product Development, Michael Hatherley, Senior Product Engineer, and Aarti Thakkar, Associate Director of Business Development. Throughout the event, we encourage you to post your questions in the Q&A or in the chat. We'll have a Q&A session following the demo and the panel discussion. And with that, I'm delighted to hand it over to Vijay to kick off the launch. Over to you, Vijay.
Well, thank you so much, and welcome everyone again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are. I don't think there's an evening crowd yet, but we're looking forward to an evening crowd later. Yeah, thank you so much for being with us. I'm really excited that you're able to join us today in yet another autumn fall innovation launch at PumasAI. This is becoming a habit, and we're likely to make this a habit over the coming years. It really feels just like yesterday that when we started PumasAI, to be honest, right? And in such a remarkably short period of time, I believe that PumasAI has demonstrated what it really means to be a cutting-edge pharmaceutical and modeling and simulation firm. Our journey has been incredible, and it's really thanks to all our brilliant team members that are here and on behind the scenes working to give you world-class products, world-class services. Without the team that we have at PumasAI, we are not able to do any of this, right? But just delivering products to whom? I mean, it's thanks to this amazing community of users that we have, and the growing community of users that we have is, those are the folks that we're building the products for, right? And this is what drives innovation from PumasAI. From day one, literally when we started PumasAI, and I have an academic background, from day one, our mission has always been very clear: to serve you, the users of our community, the users of Pumas tools. We are relentlessly focused on building tools that help solve complex problems, make it more simple, intuitive, and impactful for your own work and research. We constantly ask ourselves, actually, how can we make a scientist's life easier? How can we accelerate your research? And this dedication to your experience, it's not about us, it's about you guys. This dedication to your experience is the driving force behind every single innovation that we have at PumasAI. We want to build things for you, and you are at the heart of everything that happens in our development teams. So thank you so much to the community of users who have really fueled our innovation. And thank you to the team at PumasAI who has been constantly delivering over the last few years. And we're going to talk about the history, and Michael will share his screen right now to talk about what has happened over the last few years. And this drive, this innovation has led us to establish something of a tradition. Every autumn, fall, depending on which time zone, which vocabulary that you use, every year since 2020, we've come together to share the latest and greatest advancements that we have at PumasAI. And looking back at it, it's a very powerful story. You look back at 2020 was when we launched Pumas 1.0. That was a major moment for us. When we started Pumas back in 2016, 2017, as a fun project, to launching it at Pumas 1.0, it was an incredible moment of pride for us. And then fast forward one more year into Pumas 2.0 release in 2021, which gave our users the experience of out-of-the-box data visualization and plotting and interactiveness with the modeling and simulation environments. And then methodological improvements landed in 2022 when we officially launched the SAM algorithm and many such more powerful enhancements to the algorithms that we have. Then we started thinking about our users who want to shy away from code, not because they don't like it, it's because they want to get their work done more efficiently for simple day-to-day tasks. And in 2023, we launched Pumas CP, which is our clinical pharmacology analysis and reporting tool. And it is one of the most loved tools by all of our users out there. And Pumas CP is bound to take up a significant interest pool in the user community in the coming years. And last year, we were super excited, and one of the most, in my opinion, one of the best launches that we had last year was on Deep Pumas and AskPumas. And the reason I say that is because we kept up with technology. The journey of Deep Pumas, which is a scientific machine learning, it started way back. And we had amazing members of our team who helped propel that. And finally, in 2024, we were able to launch Deep Pumas. And Ask Pumas, which is our your own chatbot upon Pumas, was we started building that back in 23, and it was available to our internal users for a long time. And we made it publicly available to everyone in 2024. So every year we've done something. And come 2025, another year, another autumn, fall, I'm very excited to showcase one more innovation for our users at PumasAI. And to talk about this innovation, I invite our senior product engineer, Michael Hatherley, and the lead of what you're going to be seeing today to present what we have to showcase to you in 2025. Michael?
Thank you, Vijay. So in 2024, we introduced AskPumas. It's a chat interface powered by our curated knowledge base. You could ask it questions and have it accurately answered because it has access to all the Pumas documentation, all our tutorials, and is able to provide contextual answers with exact references when you need it. Since launch, over 14,000 questions have been written to AskPumas. You could ask it, how do I handle missing covariates? And get not just an answer, but working code examples and links to relevant tutorials. It understood pharmacometrics, the terminology, the workflows, the regulatory requirements. But there was a problem. You still had to copy paste code, run it yourself, and the AI system had no idea what data you were working with or what models you had already built. It didn't have any context. It was like having an expert advisor who couldn't even see your screen. Now in 2025, the AI landscape has changed. It's transformed. LLMs can call tools, run workflows, and act as agents. They can see your data, execute code, and maintain context across entire projects. This has opened the door for us. We could build something much more powerful. The AI could now actually run your analyses, not just tell you how to do it. And because Pumas is built on modern flexible technologies, Julia's metaprogramming, and our modern modular architecture, We were perfectly positioned to adapt. We didn't need to rebuild Pumas. We just needed to connect it. Drum roll, please. Enter PumasAide, a truly integrated AI experience where the assistant doesn't just know about pharmacometrics, it does pharmacometrics. So what is PumasAide? It's a bridge between your live Julia and Pumas sessions with all your actual data, your models, your results, and large language models. You can think about what this means. The AI can see your data frame. It knows what models you've already fitted. It understands your project structure. It's working in your environment, not some isolated sandbox. We've built it on industry standard protocols, so it plugs into any coding environment you prefer and works with any AI model provider, OpenAI, Anthropic, local models, whatever you choose. We're not locking you in. We're giving you a bridge to connect your existing tools, your workflow, your choice of AI, but now they can talk to each other. This works through the Model Context Protocol, which is now supported by all major providers and editing tools, combined with Julia's unique capability to generate and execute code in real time. PumasAide has direct access to everything in Pumas, the modeling, simulation, NCA, bioequivalence, dose response, and time to event, and you control it all through natural language. Say, check if my clearance follows allometric scaling, and you'll watch it load your data, fit your model, create the plots, and explain the results in context. It's not just generating code for you to run later. It's doing the work right there in your session. If you're new to Pumas, the learning curve changes completely with this tool. Instead of spending days reading tutorials before you can even start writing code, you begin with your actual problem. For example, say analyze my PK data with demographic covariates, and you get working code that runs on your data. You still learn Pumas and Julia. The AI shows you the actual syntax, explains it as it goes. When something errors, the AI sees the errors, understands the context, and fixes it for you and explains what went wrong. It's like pair programming with somebody who knows all the documentation and is watching your screen. We're writing real Pumas code from day one and understanding it as we go. For experienced users, PumasAide can change your relationship with code. You know exactly what analyses you want to run. You've done it 100 times. But instead of writing that same model comparison loop, you just describe what you need. For example, compare nested models with different covariate structures and summarize the results. The code appears, runs, and produces your tables. You can run multiple AI agents in parallel, each working on different aspects of your project. The repetitive parts of your workflow, the file I/O, the plotting code, the model comparison tables, those all happen automatically. You spend your time on what actually requires your expertise, interpreting results, making scientific decisions, understanding why one model structure works better than another. So with that, we're going to move on to a demo. So I'll invite Vijay to share his screen, and we're going to have a look at NCA and dose proportionality, a little bit of exploratory data analysis, and finally some PopPK analysis. Over to you, Vijay.
All right. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. So I'm going to walk you through a demonstration of PumasAide. The beautiful thing is that it is integrated right into the very familiar Visual Code, Visual Studio Code that you all use for Pumas. So say hello to PumasAide. And here you will notice that you can ask PumasAide what it can do for you. So here I'm just talking about a contextual, a conversation with that saying, hey, what can you do for me? And it is going to be able to tell you at this moment, the kind of workflows that it can automate for you. So we'll, as Michael pointed out, today we're going to start with NCA and dose proportionality on a data set that is already in this folder. And PumasAide is going to, with this context, do a bunch of different analysis. The first thing is it's going to perform the NCA analysis where it'll load the data set. It's going to give you some code and say, okay, is this correct? And as you notice, at every point, you as a user are interacting with it and allowing it to go to the next step, right? Now it gives you a summary of the data set. It's all doing it by itself, where it's saying, just give you a summary of my data set. Next, it's going to build the NCA population for you. And you can also choose the parameters of interest. Here, I'm actually telling the agent, look, this is an oral drug. I don't want CL obs. I want the bioavailability scale, clearance, and volume. So I can communicate with it and say, please change it. And it's going to change those parameters. And then all this, while this is happening, the results are generated. As you can see, all the AUC results, all the NCA results are generated here for you. And this is all happening in real time, right? There is no speeding up of the video or something. This is just happening as it is. And this is a final analysis for dose proportionality, where I'll say now, okay, you gave me the dose proportionality, but can you give me an interpretation of the result? I want some takeaway that I can speak to my boss about. And you can ask it. It's going to look at your result object that's within, and it's going to summarize and give you a layman explanation of what these results mean, right? And all of this, the code for every one of this is actually generated for you. And that is what we're going to see now, that while all these results are there for you, you will now see that the code is right here under the programs folder, where every single element that has happened, the code is automatically written for you, so that if you want, you can run it again, right? And this is a simple NCA analysis that we're showcasing, right? And it understands the context of the folder structure. It understands the syntax of Pumas. If it finds any mistakes that you will see later, it's going to correct itself automatically and update the code so that you can take it forward, right? This is the example of the dose linearity analysis and how it was able to pick up everything and then summarize the results and talk to you about. Next, we'll go into something a little bit more easy to fundamental to a lot of users, which is the exploratory data analysis. And I think this is one place where, especially coming from R to Julia or R to Pumas, you would like more help in initially coding. And here I'm trying to perform an exploratory data analysis on Watson Pumas. And when I say I, it's actually PumasAide that is doing the work for you. I'm just conversing with Pumas here. I'm writing a conversation in here and asking, could you do this? It's going to say, okay, you want me to explore data? I'm going to load the data set, right? And then it's going to then give me an overview of the table summary. It's the exact same overview that you saw in NCA, but it sort of understands when you want to start loading a data set, the first thing is we want to get a feel of the columns and the variables in our data set and get some overview of it, right? And it's all the results that are being generated, you can customize your input. You can say, hey, I specifically want concentration time plots for my PK and the biomarker, but can you also stratify it by different covariates like sex, right? And this is a conversation that you can have with PumasAide. And here I'm saying with and without stratification. I just wanted to be much more clear. And it's always nice to be, say please to the LLM because it'll give you better responses. So this is the data set, the warfarin data set that was loaded. And here you see the code that is being generated in real time. This code is being generated in real time, and you will see that the plots are being generated as we go along. And I'm going to show you the plots as they come along, and you will see that all the algebra of graphics code is being generated. So here you will see that the plots are being generated. For example, this is the concentration versus time by subject, by sex. And like, wow, this plot doesn't really make sense. I need to make some changes. Maybe you need to change the way it looks, or you don't like these looping back. You can go and talk to it. For example, let's add some color to this plot that you see here. You can just go back into the conversation, right? And it's right here. You can just go back into this conversation and say, I don't like the black color. Can you make it a color of blue, for example? And I can just add color is equal to blue. And now you will see the interactive nature. I'm running this code in the editor, not through PumasAide. I could have asked PumasAide to change the color, but here I'm actually interacting with the code and it updates automatically in the result. And all of this is captured line by line in an audit trail. So next we go into PopPK analysis. And here we have a whole bunch of things happening. Data summary, building a population, model development, fitting, using the results of one fit to the other, covariate modeling. So I hope you got an idea of the kind of interaction that you have. And this is just the first iteration of it, right? And I would now, as this is going on, showcasing PopPK, I'll open it up to any questions that the audience may have at this moment. You can post it in the chat if you have anything. But I'll also bring in Michael and Andreas at this point to just talk about a little bit about what does it mean for providing the kind of workflows. So, initially we've introduced NCA, dose proportionality, and PopPK here. But can you tell us a little bit about the potential of this tool, the scale, the potential to scale these across the different workflows that we may have at for any pharmacometrics workflow? Maybe Michael.
Sure. Thanks, Vijay. So all these workflows that we've seen Vijay run here, they're all just defined as natural language. There's no programming involved in creating these. So as a user, you have just as much power as we have to create your own workflows tailored to the specifics of what you're doing. So say you want a different set of default plots that get generated by the workflow. You can just prompt it in your workflow document, which are just simply markdown documents, same syntax as Quarter, that kind of thing.
Yeah, thank you. So you see these kinds of plots, it's sort of the same repetition, but the idea is that once you go into, and you will see this in a few minutes from here, once this plotting is done, all this is actually happening in what is called as a human in the loop mode. PumasAide is not running away with things and saying, I'm going to do everything for you. And there is an important element. So for example, it generated this plot, and that covariate plot doesn't seem right to me, right? The distributions need to be paneled. So I could, as a user, go in here and add the layout element and change what I want, right? And here you will say, build the population, the NCA the Pumas population. And there are some errors in this that I've noticed, and say, look, I don't want root as a covariate. I can change things. So from a user perspective, I think this a question for Andreas, who's been working with, helping provide better error messages to users over the years in Pumas, and also we understand the pain points of users. What does this mean from a development point of view? Like, how do we encourage users to better understand any errors that may come up, and how will such a tool help them?
I think a benefit, sorry, a benefit with these language models is that very often they're able to provide clearer answers, right, compared to traditional error codes.
Yeah. So any errors that we hopefully see will likely be fixed by themselves. And this is a very rich ecosystem to where the model will learn by itself and take it from there. Yeah. In this example, you're seeing, it's writing initial parameters for the models, and now it's asking, shall I go ahead with fitting these models to your population? And it doesn't matter even if you have spelling mistakes, it's going to understand. And the best thing is the conversation and the actual fit. You see the fit is happening right here for you. So they're happening at the same time. So you have a contextual view of what is happening in the backend and what is happening here. And at this point, the important thing to note is that what you're seeing are workflows that we built for you. But as a user, Michael, maybe if you can just chip in a little bit to talk about what if a user wants to build their own workflows that PumasAide can understand? How does it look like? How does it work for them?
It's really quite simple. All you'll need to do is write a markdown document and put it inside of your project folder. PumasAide will then automatically at startup, it will search for those documents and make them available to the AI model so that it can load those workflows and run them. You can even, these models are flexible enough, you can have the AI help you write your workflow document. You don't need to type all of the workflow yourself. You can say, I want to write a PopPK workflow, but I want to have these kind of changes, write it to this document file, and it will do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one more really important question, I think, is while we're seeing this, this is an example where it is able to create a table, and you'll see this table, a very good publication quality table that compares two models together. And you will see this later in covariate model comparison also, that it's able to compare. So another sort of off-the-cuff question, maybe just what do you think about, a lot of these conversations that we're doing here are in English language, and the responses are in English. Do you think this is going to be able to scale to other languages? Do we need to do anything for our users to improve their experience, maybe Japanese or maybe French or Spanish or other languages? How do you think this will scale?
We ourselves with PumasAide, we don't need to do anything to support multi-language input here. It comes down to what large language model the user chooses to make use of. And many of the larger frontier models that have been released in the last 6 to 12 months are very good at multi-language inputs and will handle it just the same, because internally underneath they aren't operating on little bits of words in one particular language. They're operating on concepts, and they're able to map the same concept from different inputs and different languages, do the same thing internally, operate on that, and then output it in your chosen language. So there's very little we need to do in PumasAide to allow that, and that's down to the architecture that we've selected to build PumasAide with.
Yeah, that makes it truly global and integrated everywhere. And here you see example of it building covariate models. Here it's building a categorical model of SPM on clearance. And there you go. It's written the model in the form that we want. You can change the functional form of how the covariate is built. In this example, it is adding both clearance, I think fasting and fed on KA and SPM on clearance. So you can converse with it to change the kind of models that you want. And then you can say, all right, go ahead and fit the data and give me the results. So can you also maybe touch upon this a little bit so that our users understand the difference between something like a graphical user interface and this, and there's a lot of writing involved, a conversation involved versus a lot of clicking involved in graphical user interfaces. So what sort of advantages does a system like this build over traditional graphical user interfaces that are limited by the options that they provide?
Right, so that's a very good point. So the way Pumas works, our interface is a coding interface. So text, language, large language models are, that's their basis, operating on text. So it makes it significantly easier for us to map these behaviors to our system because we are a coding based interface. Yes, there are ways and means, and it's improving all the time how you can interact with graphical user interfaces with LLMs, things like Claude Computer Use, things like that can operate a graphical user interface, but it's not the native input method for these. So we are at an advantage there in that regard.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. And I think we're pretty much close to the demo. I'm not sure if there are any specific questions on the demo that have come up in the chat.
I did see one
Sure.
that was about whether you can, with the plots and the tables that the system is generating, whether you can feed those back into the model's context so that it can provide you feedback on, say, the plot and things like that. And yes, it just depends on whether the model that you have chosen allows for multimodal input. So that means that you can copy paste images into the prompt and it will look at the image and reason about it. And so, yes, there's nothing stopping you from querying stuff about the actual plots that it is generating, because it can have access to that information.
Great. So, folks, Pumas users, what's been built for you is now yours. PumasAide is here for you, and it is going to be available pretty soon. And our team will be talking about it. This is really precision pharmacometrics. It's now enhanced and it has AI beside you. It's dependable. It's trustable, and we'll talk a lot about it in the panel session. And I invite Aarti to take over from here and run us through the panel, please. At this point, please post your questions as much as you have to. Thanks.
Thank you, Vijay, Michael, and Andres for presenting PumasAide's history and engaging demo. I think we can all agree it's exciting to see its capabilities in action, and I'm sure our audience is just as impressed I am. With that, let's move into our panel discussion. And I think any of you can answer those questions. Specifically, I wanted to start with first question to Michael. As you mentioned, PumasAide, a pair programmer, as it will drastically reduce the learning curve. Which categories of user are likely to benefit from the tool, and in what ways does it provide advantages for each user group?
Exactly. So yes, for beginner users, it's going to be sitting beside you, being able to give you advice on the context that you have there, your actual code, your actual project, and your actual results, and help you along the way to begin learning Pumas syntax and to understand it and to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and write the code yourself eventually. But it just smooths that learning curve significantly because you have something there 24/7, complete access for you to be able to help you on your way. For more experienced users, there's a lot of monotony in lots of the stuff that gets done. Lots of plotting code that is all very similar, lots of loading data sets and doing EDAs and things like that. And they're all quite similar between projects, but not quite the same. So in LLM, it's able to paper over those discrepancies between projects and adjust the templates that it's generating for you so that they work with the data that's specific to your project. And yeah, like Vijay said, we've only really scratched the surface of what these systems are capable of for power users, running multiple agents at the same time, working on different things, getting it to do large code changes. Because in the end, Pumas, we're a coding interface, and these coding tools are advancing significantly over the last 12 months, and we'll see where they go. But I think we've definitely only scratched the surface for power users.
Wonderful. Great. That's really incredible. Moving forward, can you share the types of workflows PumasAide can already support today? I know like we saw some of the workflows in demo, but also how scalable the platform is for larger or more complex projects.
Maybe I can just start on that, and I can bring in others here. So there is a simple truth to fundamental and basic to all of this, right? The more you know, the more you can use the tool. That is going to be at the foundation of any AI tool that you use, right? The more fundamentals you know, the more you can leverage the tool. So at this point, we are actually much more excited about what our users can put this tool to use than what we can provide to them. We actually think that the users will come up with ideas that we cannot even think about, to be very honest, right? And we've had users, testers who built first time in human workflows. We've had testers doing model-based bioequivalence on this. So we just don't know where this can go. But that also brings us to a fundamental question of, what is the right balance between what we can provide and what the community can do themselves? And I think maybe Andreas and Michael can both comment on this. For pretty complex analysis workflows, we'll talk about that. The standard workflows that are run-of-the-mill for most of the pharmacometrics analysis that happens, about 80% of them in the industry and in academia, those are pretty easy to do here, right? Now, when you go into more complex stuff, and maybe Andres, you can comment, maybe those complex statistical hidden Markov models or those kinds of things. How do you see such kind of complex models being developed in this kind of ecosystem?
As you say, I think the most immediate benefit is probably for kind of the standard models that are associated with a lot of repetition, where you over and over write similar models. But once the tool is expanded to more complex models, that it will all be made aware of more complex models. There's essentially no limit to which kind of models can be considered But again, pharmacometrics spans very simple models that are often the most common ones, and then all the way up to very complex and customized models. And the more unique a model will be, the less likely it is that a tool like this, of course, can figure out exactly how to do it. It might still provide a good starting point that can then be customized later on, and that is important to remember here, that it is not the don't exclude yourself from just using as a starting point and then fine-tuning it manually afterwards with the parts where the tool might not be aware of the exact way of creating the model or the workflow yet. So it it is a mix of there's still a human.
Yeah, there's always a human. That's very important. Human in the loop and the foundation. Michael, do you want to add anything to this?
Yes, so with regard to like more complex models and more complex projects, there's always still going to be that boilerplate here and there within larger projects. And what you can do is use this kind of tool to alleviate the mental pressure of all that extra boilerplate so that you can focus, like we've said before, focus on the science, focus on the more complex parts that these tools aren't able to solve themselves because they can't reason about these things.
And even for a complex model, there might be a lot of data processing initially, standard plots, even if the model was non-standard. And for those parts of the analysis, you can easily benefit.
Wonderful. I think this is really very exciting, and I'm sure users will experience this in a very incredible way. All right, moving forward, could you please elaborate on the potential benefits that this may offer to enterprise organization?
Enterprise organization is, I mean, maybe let's think about like a pharmaceutical enterprise team of pharmacometrics users in an enterprise. The spectrum is wide in the benefit of usage here, but I think if you take one analyst at a time, and I'll bring in the others also to think about and comment on it. The biggest bottleneck to anyone in an enterprise moving from the old way of doing things in R and non-mem and we're coming into Julia and Pumas, that initial hurdle is about how do you write that first model? How do you start that first project? What is the code? How do you write the code? That boilerplate, that initial hurdle is taken away because you can use PumasAide to get you that first in, right? So from a user perspective, from a new user perspective in an enterprise, the onboarding becomes a lot more simpler. And for a business leader in an enterprise who is looking to get into a transformation of their team into moving into Pumas and Julia because of the of the vastness of innovation that come with us, the primary advantage is that the ability to get everybody to the same level and the pace at which everybody can come to the same level is much quicker. And a lot of this work can be standardizable through a tool like PumasAide. And maybe this is the point where I'll ask Michael to talk about a little bit about standardizable and dependable. What can you comment for enterprises? What does it mean in terms of standardization of their workflows?
Right. So because everybody is using the same PumasAide and the same model within an enterprise, the code generated and these structures and the project form that's created there is all going to be very similar between projects. So it'll be much more easy to transfer between different projects because they're all structured more similarly rather than each individual analyst doing it their own way.
Yeah. Andres, do you have anything? Enterprise transformations?
No, not much. I'm very excited or curious about how it will be used, right? it's a very different way of working, and there's tremendous opportunities here. So I'm kind of curious to see how it will work out, but nothing to add on top of.
All right, but I think this is very excellent insight for any enterprise users. Having said that, what do you think? Like, what infrastructure challenges do you foresee this large organization facing when adopting PumasAide, and how are we helping them to overcome this?
That's a question for you guys, Andreas and Michael.
Yeah, I can try, but so the idea in how the tool was designed was to hopefully make it as easy as possible to fit in the policies and requirements already in place, right? So we don't ship any AI model with this tool, as mentioned earlier, right? We rely on existing pre-approved language models that are already used for different purposes inside the company, and we simply leverage those. Thereby, it should be much simpler to get the tool running inside. There shouldn't be a need for a separate assessment of the AI here, because we are simply utilizing existing AI.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Michael,
Just
yeah.
to echo Andreas's point there, the approach and the architecture taken is bring your own model. So whichever model that your company has already gotten approved or wants to have approved, whether it's one provided by an external inference provider like OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini or something like that, or even if you want to self-host a local model, you're able to do that on your own infrastructure. And at that point, no data will leave your system at all.
Great.
And I think that might answer one of the questions that showed up in the chat, specifically about data security and integrity, at least the security part, because to the extent, so this is no different from what you already are allowed to use with your language model, right? So if you can use your data with your existing model, then it is no different to use it with PumasAide, because we won't see it, it won't leave it, the data won't leave it more, so to speak, than it already would if you enter it into the model through some other interface you might already be using.
Yeah.
And just to wrap it up, sorry, go ahead.
And just to be clear on data going into the model, source data, the way the system is set up, source data never actually ends up in the model. That would potentially be very large data sets that we're trying to put into the model's context. Instead, we're sending summary stats and column details of the data sets. We don't actually put all the numbers into it, if that makes things a bit clearer there.
Yeah. And I just want to make one statement very clear. You bring your own AI model. We give you Pumas and the bridge to your AI model. Your data is yours. Pumas systems are never trained on your data, on your questions at all. At PumasAI, the policies that we have, we will never see the data or the questions that you are asking, because it is completely up to your own choice of large language model that you choose in your enterprise. So from a data and security point of view, this is what is very important. So just wanted to be very, very clear.
Yeah, I think this is really very clear and very clarifying things related to data integrity and all. And moving forward, can the tool be customized to address the organization's specific requirement?
The simple answer is yes. We just need to know what the requirements are.
Yeah, definitely very customizable. Again, circling back around to the way we have developed this using industry standard protocols of how we communicate with large language models. We're doing very little custom stuff very, very little. And in fact, Anthropic released a new model yesterday, Sonnet 4.5. Our system immediately worked with that. There was
Yeah.
nothing we needed to do. So customization in that sense of picking whatever model you want, yep, completely up to you. On customization of workflows, like we've discussed during the demo, workflows are just text documents. They're just natural language. So it's up to you as users to write whatever workflows you want. And yeah.
Wonderful. It looks like complete game changer kind of a thing. Great. Last question to this panel. PumasAide represents a leap from an advisory AI like AskPumas to a fully integrated agent that execute pharmacometrics workflows. So looking ahead, this question is specifically for you, Vijay. What excites you most about its future role in pharmacometrics field?
Well, yeah, thank you for the question. And I think it's for everyone. And I think I'll be speaking on behalf of everyone here, to be quite honest. So for years, software has helped us manage work, to be honest, right? It has helped to manage work. And, when we introduced AskPumas, AskPumas was built to help understand the more detail and help you get to manage your work better in a Pumas environment. And PumasAide has now come in it's not here to eliminate anybody's work, it's to augment and help you get to that point much quicker. It helps you execute your project much better. Think about it from a perspective of a car, right? I mean, for a beginner user, you sit in the car and all you want to do is just hit the accelerator. As long as you have a license, you can go. And it's an automatic car, right? You don't need to worry about what the engine is. You don't need to worry about what's going on. Or you think about a map, the transition of our world from a map to a GPS, right? In a map gives you the information, a GPS gives you turn-by-turn directions. And we loved when we moved to GPS. I mean, sort of there right now, right? But PumasAide can be a self-driving car. You don't just ask it for the best route to get to the destination. You want to say, I want to characterize the exposure response analysis for this particular molecule. Help me get there. And it is going to help you get there by giving you a series of steps and walking you through the entire series of steps. So in my opinion, over the next 5 years, this really transforms Pumas from a powerful analytics engine into pretty much like a central nervous system for your model-informed drug development, right? It is the core around which you think about your model-informed drug development. And it's not about the tool, right? It's about the users. Our users will evolve from being pilots or drivers of a car to, who are constantly managing, where are the buttons? How do I change this? How do I change that? How do I change this color? How do I change that simulation engine? To getting an aid that can walk you through the process and help you achieve your goal. So we're really excited as a team to be at this juncture and be at a place where technology is rapidly evolving. And thanks to the modular architecture of Julia and Pumas, we are in the right place at the right time to give all the innovations that are happening in the technology world to our users so that they can do their work better. So I think that's what really excites me. And we have a really good team to do that. So I'm really excited about it.
I agree with that. And thank you so much. I think that ends our panel discussion questions, but there are a few questions by the audience. Few have been answered, but I would also want to bring those questions here. So can it be used for dose prediction in case of dosage form changes, and it's simulated pharmacokinetic profiles to support waiver of human PK studies?
It depends on how much you want it to do. It is not going to do a regulatory submission right now, but the simple answer is, let's break down that question. Perhaps I'm just reading the question right now. Can it be used for dose predictions in case you change something? Sure, as long as you frame the question properly and you say please, it will, and you have the license to say please, it's going to get you to a point where you can build upon it and grow upon yourself, right? I don't think, as Michael and even Andreas sort of mentioned earlier, it will give you as long as you understand the foundation and the question is sort of more specific, you will get responses that will take you from 0 to 60, not in 10 days, but 0 to 60 in maybe 2 minutes, right? So that's where we are. So can it help in these workflows? Yes, as long as you're able to have your own foundation and ask the right question, it'll help you get there. Maybe Michael, is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say that's asking the right questions and framing them in the right way with the right information in your model's context is the important thing. It can't answer questions where it doesn't have the data and doesn't understand what you want.
Yeah.
All right. There's one more question. I think we have answered that, but still I want to just bring for everybody's attention. Will this tool also be available for users with academic licenses?
Yes, it'll be available to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there was another questions related to data security and integrity, which have been elaborately answered. So anything else, panelists, do you want to add over here before I come up with a closing remark?
No, we're all excited for you as users to use it. We have no idea how it, but we've generally improved our own internal ways of doing things and looking at how the future of Pumas is going to be. So I'm excited about the future for the users.
As do we. And I want to take this opportunity to give the closing remark on behalf of business development team from PumasAI. Is my slide visible?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So let's continue the conversation. And there are a few things I want to bring to your attention. First of all, thank you so much for the participation. And before concluding this session, I want to give this important information which I brought over here. So if you are interested in scheduling a demo for your extended team, please reach out, or maybe if you have any additional questions, please contact us at info@pumas.ai. And additionally, if you're planning to attend ACOP 2025, we invite you to visit us at booth 5. We are exhibiting, and also along with that, we are having one podium talk, one tutorial session, and 4 poster presentations. Along with that, we are very excited to inform that we'll be hosting our second user group meeting during ACOP, where users can provide their feedback, learn about the latest updates and features, and connect with members of Pumas community. So if you have not yet registered, please email us for assistance with registration. And you may have noticed during the whole session that at PumasAI, we are committed to empowering our users. As a part of this efforts, we recently conducted BDD course, and it was very overwhelmed response. We got more than 100 participants across globe joined that course. And now we are very pleased to announce that our upcoming AIDD course, which will run from October 2025 to May 2026. So if you haven't seen that space, please go look into it and register if you haven't. Last but not the least, we are truly excited to introduce PumasAide as your AI companion, here to support you in your journey with Pumas. And we hope you are just as excited to embark on this journey with us and continue driving innovation together. Thank you all for joining us at this launch event, and we are looking forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you so much. Over to
Thanks.
Aditi.
Thanks,
That was
everyone. I think, sorry, Vijay, I didn't mean to speak over you, but I wanted to
No, no,
thank
no.
everyone for attending and to the panelists for such an exciting presentation. And to our global audience, thank you once again for being here. We're just getting started. So please keep an eye out for more updates from us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.